Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Keefe, editor-in-chief of the Quintessential Gentleman, and today we are talking to Mr. Monk Inyang, who is the co-founder of First Street Partnerships. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So let's dive right into it. Tell me, what is your role at um, First Street Partnerships, and just tell me more about the organization.
Yeah, so I am the CEO and co-founder of First Street Partnerships. We are an AI training organization. And essentially, the work that we do through First Street Partnerships is to reinforce the importance of AI and workforce development to drive economic mobility and kind of future-proof equity in its benefits. This is essentially a technology that has the power to advance economic equality and empowerment. So we're kind of tasked with helping people understand that through education and accessibility.
So before we get into the corporation itself, everyone always thinks, "Oh, AI, it just came, Chat GPT, all that stuff." But this space has been here for a while. I think it's just been wildly popular with kind of the open source and things like that, where it's now allowing other people just like me who knows nothing about this type of stuff to be able to kind of dip our toes in there. I want to know, what was your background about AI prior to the organization?
Yeah, so I think it's really a story of seeing is believing. I spent years in corporate strategy and marketing, and in that work, kind of saw how well AI could help amplify your creativity, your efficiency, even your ambition in the work that you do. And the fact that it's for non-tech users is what makes it so special. So I picked it up very quickly and quickly realized how much of a passion I had for it and then quickly saw how large of a gap it'll cause between those who are actively using the technology and those who may not, because they may not come from a tech background or may feel that they need some level of prerequisite to get into it.
Do you still feel that there's a particular demo that is still underutilizing AI? Or let me ask a better question. Who do you think are the kind of the ultimate users as of right now?
Yeah, I think that the knowledge workers in corporate spaces, especially creative spaces, are definitely getting into it. But I think there's a massive gap for everyday users, especially in underrepresented or under-resourced communities. If you're a small business owner, the benefits that you get from using AI in your work. More than half of small businesses have shown that it has a positive impact on their business growth. It improves their efficiency. It is one of those things that I think right now it's widely underused. And even when I speak to people about how they're using it, and which brings me to, what's important about our work is even when people are using it, they're not really tapping into the power of the technology, and it's kind of using it as a Google 2.0 when there's so much more it can do.
So what does it look like partnering or being underneath First Street Partnerships? Is it just an individual person? Is there like classes that they have to take, or do you come in, look at their business, say, okay, this is how you could utilize it? Kind of take me through what's the execution of a partnership with you all.
Yeah, so there's a couple different models. What we really want to do is kind of work with an organization that is charged with doing some of this work and helping people get access to this education. So we come in and basically work with people. We have a curriculum and walk them through using AI in real time and taking advantage of the tools. For us, it's really important how practical it is. So we don't like spending a lot of time doing just theory. It's really like, let's recreate your favorite album cover using AI. Let's write a sonnet. Let's edit a news article or whatever it is to get people using it, and we see the biggest jumps in people's comfort through that method.
Do you have like a list of particular AI platforms that either you use, that you offer to other people, like, oh, you should use this for this, or you should use this for that? Or are you kind of showing them what the different platforms can kind of help them with? Or I'm just trying to understand kind of the integration piece of it, because you don't have your own AI, you're just using other people's platforms to be able to help people utilize it, correct?
Yes, yes, no, it's exactly that. And so for us, it's really important to be able to take advantage of these everyday platforms that people are using right now, because a lot of the strongest tools that we see are there. They are the chat GPTs, the mid journeys of the world. So we help people kind of walk through different LLMs and find what they're best suited for, and help you learn that way. So it's not specific to any particular tool, and we help people kind of use the benefits that are there across the suite of platforms that we have access to.
Listen, I tried Mid Journey. They got $20 out of me, and I think they got like 3 months. I never used it. It was so complex. I just said, I don't want to do it. And I guess, granted, I could have, do YouTube or some type of tutorial to get me to use it, but it just seemed overly complex to me. And as a business owner, I just didn't have the time to spend, learning that particular process. I would like to know what is the time that goes into kind of perfecting those type of things. I think as a business owner, as a small business owner, I don't have a lot of the time. I want to use the things, and I know that AI can assist me, but I also have to learn how to use it in order for it to do what it needs me to do, which also takes time.
Yeah. So I mean that's a great point, and it's an issue that a lot of people have. I think with Midjourney in particular, it was very complicated as when it first rolled out. Now the tool is actually very close to what you see on ChatGPT, where you talk like a regular person and it makes the image that you're looking to do. And that's typical. There's so many changes in the industry at all any given time. But when talking about like how long would it take to kind of get that learning curve to get to these benefits, we've seen that a person can go from a complete novice to a power user of the technology in less than 10 hours. And it really is just focusing on using it with someone kind of working with you to show you how you interact with it. I think the biggest issue is we haven't had technology like this where the conversation is based on what you're talking about, the context, all of these different things. So it's really just kind of reframing the way we interact with it, and then those benefits kind of kick in very quickly, actually.
So you've done some work with the Caramino Fund, which sounds really, really interesting. I want to know what led you to that partnership with Kevin Hart's initiative.
Yeah, I mean, we are incredibly honored to be working with Kevin Hart's Grand Caramino Tequila on their next cohort of the Caramino Fund. And the fund is basically the brand's give back program to support small business owners and entrepreneurs with grants and learning opportunities. So for this year, we're actually going to be providing community based AI education and training to those small business owners that are granted funds this year through the brand.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. And these and people, there's, I guess you will kind of pull on the website and people can get information kind of what the requirements and things like that are for that particular fund. But normally, again, it's like small business giving grants and things like that and giving more resources for them to grow, right?
Yeah, so it's providing money, funds for small business owners in underrepresented communities. It's open across the U.S. People can nominate their favorite small business at grandcaramino.com/fund, and the nominations are open through the end of the month. And you basically have an opportunity to actually win an exclusive prize with Kevin Hart just by nominating your favorite small business. But if they are selected, they win that fund. They win $10,000 as part of the fund and the AI training to kind of get that next step in helping transform their small business.
Awesome, awesome. So, I don't feel like AI now is something you have to use in order for you to grow or to remain in business as of right now. But I remember probably about 10 years ago, there was a conversation around social media, right? And people are like, oh, social media, you don't need it. I'm not running a business. They didn't need it. And now we look at it, and now people often don't have websites. They have social media pages, Instagrams, where they're able to speak to their customers. When do you think AI will become something that you'll have to use in order for your business to grow?
So that's a great question. So I would say, the what's happening in AI, this is the greatest shift in how we do work since the internet itself, I would say.
Mhm.
So we're at a point where if you want to compete with companies in this kind of thriving economy, AI is already at a table stakes must have situation. The only issue is you may not notice it because you don't use AI. So when you kind of see how quickly you are able to make high quality documents that allow you to punch above your weight in, the small business that you're working in, or work a lot faster or learn things a lot quicker, you'll see that one, that was available, and two, there are already your competition is already well versed in it. And so if you want to continue to be able to compete in that space, that's something that we all need to kind of take advantage of. It's I guess it'd be the equivalent of online shopping where the this technology comes along and people are figuring it out while there is an Amazon kind of just taking everyone's lunch quietly until we realize that, hey, we should have been doing this for a while.
Tell people all the time. My first introduction to Amazon was college books. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so what do you say to the criticism about AI as a form of like an easy way out, or people using it just I think for me, given a little feedback as, I don't necessarily agree that AI, somebody gives something to me and it's completely AI generated. There's still, we don't have that human feel. I can tell that this was a machine that wrote this. You don't use this, vernacular, things like
Mhm.
that. It just definitely doesn't sound organic. But I do believe it's getting better, but I do believe it's also a tool. But to the critics who, believe that, people aren't as smart as they once were, or the work product is so good, but it's not theirs per se. What's your feedback or thoughts on when anyone brings that up?
Yeah, I would say that that typically is true when people are not using the technology well. So when a person says, make me an essay, this is what I needed to talk about, it's going to sound like you asked AI to make you an essay. This is what you needed to talk about. When you're collaborating with it and using your expertise and your point of view and kind of going back and forth to craft something, it's a completely different thing. And it's hard to like explain without you just kind of seeing examples, but those are the cases where someone who knows how to use the technology is creating something with a thought partner in the technology.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I would say it's a great blueprint. It's a great
Yeah.
outline of, kind of get your thoughts in order and things like that as well. So it's definitely amazing. Um, so a couple more questions in terms of the training that's offered specifically for small businesses. Can you just talk like a little bit of the examples that you would utilize AI for some type of development in small business?
Yeah. So we like to use case studies, which is, if you went to business school or anywhere in that area, you're very familiar with those, but using AI to kind of solve business problems that we already have. So if we're trying to figure out how to move into another market, or we have some negative feedback that we're getting on a product, and how do we address that internally, using AI in those situations help people kind of unlock, if I can do it for this, then I can apply it to my other problems in the same way. So we work with small businesses to kind of essentially, at the end of the day, it's a business problem. And it goes back to, how do you want to solve the business problem? Here's a tool to help you do it, and walk through people through that process. And then they're able to do it on their own after, a very short amount of training.
Awesome. And then my last question is just, where do you see First Street partnerships, down the line, like 5 years down the line? What would that look like for you?
Yeah, I think, we're obviously evangelizing the technology and making sure that people understand it. In a few years down the line, we hope that we're in front of as many people as possible, especially in these communities that we talk about, these under-resourced and underrepresented communities, and basically the beacon of making sure that people take advantage of the benefits that are coming from AI, and that there's equity and equality in who's shaping it, so we're not just users of the technology, but we're leaders in it. And so people have an opinion or are able to influence how this thing changes over the next few years. It's changed incredibly fast since everyone heard about ChatGPT in 2023. So in 5 years, if we're not at the table, I can only imagine, how big of a gap we will be in, with that technology moving at that speed.
Yeah. I would say I feel like AI has the development of AI has been like the quickest
Mm-hmm.
technology introduction
Mm-hmm.
we've ever had. They say it was a cell phone, they say it was the internet, but this AI, it's like
Mm-hmm.
so.
Oh, it's incredible. There has been nothing that has like increased in capability as fast as AI, has increased in the amount of people who use it as fast as AI. It's one of those things that at one time, at the same time that everyone is talking about it, not enough people are talking about it. So it's a weird phenomenon that's happening.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Monk, for speaking with us today. Truly appreciate it. And
Thank you.
definitely have information for people who would like to, one, look into the Caramino Fund, with that's Kevin Hart's initiative, and then also get more information on First Street Partnerships. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.